right, man. Welcome to our first ever podcast as Creativaire. This is Creativaire presents A&R, which stands for Arts and Review. We're going to be doing some reviews on certain stuff that's going on in pop culture, some stuff that's going on that we like personally, and we're going to talk about the arts as well. And the arts could be film, music, movies, television shows, all types of stuff. What's going on in the industry and things of that nature. So, what we're going to talk about today, we're going to do a recap of 2020. First off, I am DJ Jeremiah. Some people know me as Chris Dawson, but my stage name is DJ Jeremiah. This is my wife, Maya Dawson. She helps me with Creativaire. Creativaire, if you out there, you need help marketing, promotion, and all that other stuff, contact us, holler at us, and we will get you right. All right. So, first off, we're going to recap 2020, some things that hit in 2020 that was pretty good, and things that we remember, you know what I'm saying? More arts and review stuff, not social stuff and all that other stuff, you know what I mean? But we may touch on that because some of the stuff hits on that because of that. Okay. So, one thing in 2020 that we really remember that really hit and it kept us entertained because, of course, the pandemic happened and COVID-19 happened and we were stuck in the house. Some of us were stuck in the house. You couldn't go to your job, your school, out and about. So one of the things that was big in 2020 was Versus. Versus was really big, and just all the artists back in the day, some 2000s, some 90s, some even 80s, had a Versus. So let's just talk about them. Which ones was some of your favorites that you can remember offhand? And then if you can't remember some, I wrote some of them down. So go ahead. What were some of your favorites, babe?
Cool. Well, I mean, the first one that really got my attention was when they brought in the OGs. Like, I was really pleased and looking forward to the infamous, Babyface versus Teddy Riley. Now, granted, what did it take? 2-3 times for them to do it? It took a couple of times because they were the OGs. Like, social media was not their friend at times. They were kind of struggling with that. But at the same time, it was definitely a celebration, I feel like, of just their careers and their longevity, because although they're the OGs, like, they're still impacting and influencing artists today. So you could literally go back in time to something from 89 and then come on up through the 90s and then come up through the 2000s, and then even listening to some of the artists that they're working with present day. It just blew my mind because their stretch was so broad with the artists that they've written for, produced, and just influenced, period. So that was one that definitely stuck out to me. Another one that stuck out to me was, the OGs of gospel, Fred and Kirk. I mean, the infamous Fred and Kirk. Like, when it comes to gospel music, like, they literally have, they elevated the standard, they elevated the game when it came to gospel music. I know for me personally, I wasn't checking for gospel music pretty much until God's Property. And of course, by then, Kirk had a couple of albums under his belt, but I remember God's Property being like the first gospel album that I actually purchased where I was like, I can rock with this, in my everyday life, not just my go to church on Sunday life, so to, hear them. And then of course, Fred's Pages of Life got me through college. Like, that was my joint all through that time. And so to see those two come together, that was dope for me. And then the third one I would say that jumped out to me was Jill Scott and Erykah Badu. I love neo soul music. That's like my genre of choice, if you will, when it comes to singing, because I feel like it just kind of it vibes on the the R&B, a little bit of hip hop, even spoken word, even, and then jazz, and I just love all of that blues. And so I felt like that was dope to see those two come together. So those were the three that stood out for me. What about you?
Well, the three that officially stood out for me, of course, like you said, Kirk and Fred. I really like those because, of course, that was one of the times in my life that Fred Hammond and Kirk was just like, their music was pouring, and then we at the time was going to a church that's what we sung and praised and everything like that. And those songs, even to this day, man, you can still put those on, and it was just a blessing. And then even at that time, I think you seen a lot of people. I remember seeing it at a march. People were marching, and you know, what I mean, for what was going on, of course, with I just having a
George Floyd,
George
yeah.
Floyd, Breonna
Ahmaud
Taylor,
Arbery, yeah.
Yeah, just all those people were getting killed,
Breonna
and
Taylor, yeah.
you seen it, and people were playing that, and that's what we needed at that time, and it was just so powerful, man. That I think that was one of the most powerful ones.
Absolutely.
I would say that another favorite one for me was the original one, the first one, Swiss Beats and Timberland. I'm
Okay,
a
okay.
big Timberland fan. Like I think he's one of my favorite producers of all time. Like he's in my top five, and to see him in Swiss Battle just brought me back to my high school years because like majority of production that I remember was like late '90s, early 2000s,
Mm-hmm.
and just some of the records they were playing just brought me back to my high school years and was like, man, this stuff was fire, and even going up to a little bit to now. And then honestly, it was some other ones. I think some. I'm gonna tell you my third one, but I'm gonna give you some honorable mentions before.
Okay.
RZA and Premier was a really dope one. You know, for them underground hip hop heads. Brandy and Monica was another one
That was good.
that was really good too. And I would say T Pain and Lil Jon was the funniest one to me. That one was hilarious. Nelly and Ludacris was okay. Like you said, Teddy Riley and Babyface. But my third best one was Neo and Jonte Austin.
That was a good one. I
They
remember
need,
that one.
yeah, they need to go back to having more songwriters on it because Neo was playing records that you never heard of, and if people who didn't know who Jonte Austin was, I mean, you know, he does singing, he does his own stuff, but he's most known for songs he's written, and he's
Yeah.
written stuff since the '90s. So
Yeah.
he's playing like Sweet Lady, and you like, man, that was like 98, 97, 99, and he's playing records like that, and I was like, oh snap, man, that is crazy that you know. He's playing these records and he's doing different things, and that was just a battle, man. To me, that was just a dope battle. And to me, I'm old school. You know what I mean? I miss going to the store, buying a record, pulling out, looking at the credits, and seeing like who produced
Ah,
that,
yes.
who wrote that. I miss all that. Like that's how I learned stuff. Like
Yes.
I learned stuff as a teenager, going buying records for stuff, and was like, oh, this guy is dope because he worked with
Facts.
Puffy. This guy is
Facts.
dope because he worked with
Yes.
SWV, or this guy is good because he worked
Yes.
with, or she's dope because she wrote that. So that's the thing that I miss as a music consumer
Yeah.
of going to the record store and purchasing a CD. Well,
Yeah.
honestly, at that time it was more tapes for me. Purchasing a tape or even a CD, and then looking at the credits and seeing, oh, they produced that. They produced
Yeah.
this too. They produced that, or he produced that, or she wrote this, he wrote that. You know what I mean? So I think that one was in my top three because just knowing that I didn't know all of Jonte Austin's catalog, and I didn't know all of Neo's. But I just
Facts.
know they got a good pen game, and their pen game was crazy, and I
Facts.
enjoyed that. That joint was really good. So
Yeah.
my top three again is Kirk and Fred, Neo, and Jonte, and the first one, Swiss Beats and Timberland. So
Yeah. And actually you mentioned John Tay and Neo be you know, liking them for the same reason that I loved, you know, the one with Teddy Riley and Babyface, because
yeah,
again, you just don't realize how many artists that they have worked with. And it
yeah,
actually makes me wonder, because you know, that was during a time when, I mean, literally, you know, there were people that were A&R and artists, which is another reason why we call this A&R, because that's some of the insight that we share on. But you
yeah.
know, there were you know, you had LA Reid and Babyface, you know, you had um uh gosh, who am I missing? Like you had LA Reid and Babyface, you had Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, you had
From back in the day,
Jermaine Dupri. Yeah,
yeah,
but they were like shaping artists and shaping their sounds. And I
yeah.
think now you kind of come to a place where, of course, in the day and age of the independent artist, collaboration is kind of looked down upon,
Yeah,
especially when you're talking about hip hop and you're like, you know, you lose cred if you didn't write all of your stuff. So like, what are your thoughts on that? Like, as far as like collaborating and having a team around you versus just doing everything yourself? Like, do you
it's
feel like one is better than the other,
it's a
or?
good and is a pro and con to both of them. It's
Mm-hmm.
not both of them, but it's a good and bad. But the independent artist that's doing doing everything themselves is a good because they figured out how to create money and create income.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say if I'm an artist that produce myself, record myself,
Mm-hmm.
um, take pictures of my own self, that's other side hustles I can do for other people and I know
Absolutely.
how to do. So that's a
Mm-hmm.
plus on their behalf. Now the con of that is that when it's time to promote that stuff, you may not know how to promote it, and you just putting stuff out. And
Yeah.
that's what we're seeing right now with a lot of artists is like, kind of like, and I don't know about other genres, but I know people put stuff out constantly in certain genres. You know what I mean? Especially hip hop. Like you get somebody put out a song in January and then they got another song in March. And it's like, bro, like you didn't really drain out that towel
Gotta work
in
it.
January and you had to
Yep.
work it. You know what I'm saying? And that song, if it's a mainstream artist, that mainstream artist could send that songs to radio in January. We can do
Absolutely.
challenges, and we'll probably get down to that soon about
Mm-hmm.
TikTok. Do some challenges or do something with it, and then drop the video in March, and the video will carry you until like at
Yeah.
least the summer, and then you either drop your EP or you drop something or you drop another video, or you constantly, you know what I'm saying? And we had this conversation a little bit too, and it's kind of going into something else, but we had a conversation with an artist that we was working with, and we compared two artists' IG page,
Mm-hmm.
and I was thinking about this yesterday, honestly, of how you have the mystique artist and then you have the everyday artist. And what
Yep.
the difference is, a mystique artist is an artist that only give you a little bit of their life. So they
Mm-hmm.
give you if something happened to them, like something major happened to them. They give you when their music dropping, they may talk about something social, but it's
Yeah.
not every day.
Yeah.
And then the everyday artist is somebody who tell you something every day, tweet every day, IG post every
Their
day.
life is an open
Their
book.
life is open
Yeah.
book because of the social media age. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And a lot of the mystique artists come from that old school industry where it was
Yeah.
like the industry kind of gave you had an A&R, you had a team with you, and
Yeah.
then they were more like the industry was giving you everything from the music videos, like even before YouTube, you go on 106 in Park, you go on TRL, and your music get out to the masses that way. And
Yeah.
then you had press kits that you had to send to radio stations, you had to send
Yes.
to different things of that nature. So you
Yeah.
had that person, and there's not a lot of artists like that anymore because
Mm-hmm.
that's the old model.
And
And
it
there's a
takes work. It takes
yeah,
time. It takes effort and energy.
yeah, and that's a few artists that's like that. You got the Beyonces, the Nickies.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say Nicki Minaj is like the last person I could think of like that a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Bruno Mars, but Bruno Mars was in the 2000s a little bit.
Yeah.
So those type of artists are like that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And then you have maybe like a Drake is kind of like that, but Drake is there too. Drake is from
Yeah.
that time a little bit,
Yeah.
or the late 2000s that he does that format. But like artists from that era to
Yeah.
late to 2000s to maybe a little bit of the early 2010s, like they were on that where it was like Mystique. J. Cole is like that. It was like he's
Yeah.
gonna give you everything. So, but then you have some artists today, like the Cardi B's.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of other artists that they constantly just give you
I
stuff
would say
every
Taylor
day.
Swift. I think she gives a lot. Like she opens up her life and shares everything. I feel
But
like
that's
she
like
really does
album
that a lot.
cycle stuff. It's not like
That's
I don't
true.
think it's every day.
That's true.
Like
That's true.
I see Cardi B tweet or text. I mean not text, tweet or like
Mm-hmm.
maybe a
Post
post
or something.
every
Yeah.
day. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And she's just because she's a IG baby. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
That's
Like she
true.
comes from that
Very
IG
true.
world, so she constantly had to keep your attention.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So and she's not the only one. She's the only one that's coming to mind right now. But
Mm-hmm.
there's other artists that's like her, where it's like I gotta send something out all the time. And
Got
then
you.
you have other artists that try to keep that mystique. The problem
Yeah.
with I'll say this real quick, and we can go on to something we got off
Yeah. We got to
the
get off
recap.
on back on 2020. That's my fault. I just
Yeah,
wanna-
yeah. But I will say this real quick for the person that's the pros and cons of both. The mystique artist, the pros and cons of that is that you keep everything, you don't share everything. But the cons about it is like people get they I mean the pros about it is people want more and more and more from you. The consequence about it is like people can be like, well, I'm losing interest in that person.
Yeah.
The person that's giving too much is well, they like, well, okay, I like the fact that we're engaging. I'm engaging with my audience, and it's great. But then the consequence of that is people can get tired of you quick.
Yeah,
So you just have to
absolutely.
gauge it of what that is. So yeah. But anyway, all right. So I don't know
Back
how
to
that got into
2020.
verses, but all right. This is another thing that was really big in 2020 because we were in the house. Unless you was an essential worker, and shout out to all the essential workers out there like myself. I work in a warehouse. The Last Dance, talking about Michael Jordan and the
Oh
Chicago
wow.
Bulls.
Yeah.
One of the originally it was supposed to come out in the summer, but I guess because we didn't have no basketball, no NHL, no baseball, no sports was going on. They bumped this up, and this is the only thing we had on Sunday nights. I think it was coming on Sunday night. They had a 2-part series. I think
Hmm.
it went up to what, 8 episodes?
I
Eight?
think it was 10. Yeah, it was 5 weeks.
Yeah, so 10 episodes,
Hmm.
2 each week. It was very intriguing. It was very good. It was very it kept your attention. It was very captivating.
Yeah. And
I'm
one thing
sorry.
I loved, I'm not huge into athletics, but I always, when it comes to GOATs, I feel like, MJs, are the
Yeah,
GOATs when it comes to sports and music,
yeah,
Michael Jordan, Michael Jackson. If you're
yeah,
talking to me about anybody else competing with them, we might have a problem. But all that to say,
yeah,
one thing that I loved was that it really highlighted his work ethic. And I
yeah,
think in today's society, that's not something that you hear much about. Like you hear people just kind of coming out of the blue, or they became a viral sensation, or,
yeah,
and all of that is great. Don't get me wrong. I feel like social media has definitely leveled the playing field and allowed a lot of artists and, other, celebrities and influencers to rise to the top in a much shorter time. But at
yeah,
the end of the day, your work ethic is what's going to keep you there. And so, really highlighting his work ethic, because that is why he is considered the GOAT, in my opinion. 6 rings, back to back three-peats. I mean, literally, like, just his story is amazing to me, and just the steps that he took even after taking a year off and going and playing baseball, like just the steps that he took to get back into his regimen of playing consistently, and literally, picked up where he left off and got 3 more championships back to back. Like, that was amazing to me. And then also too, the way that he pulled up his other teammates. Now, of course, there's a lot of different opinions on
yeah,
that. Was he a bully? Was he prideful? Was he, arrogant? Was he not a team player? Or was he just somebody that challenges people and
yeah,
made sure that if you're going to play with the best, that you bring out your best?
yeah,
So all that to say, a lot of conversation around that, but I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And I'm not even an
yeah,
athlete like that.
yeah. It was one of the best sports docu series I've seen. ESPN directed it, well, put it out, and it was
Hmm.
under them. And they have a lot of good 30 for 30s for ESPN from all types of sports, from basketball, football, boxing. I think they may have one on soccer. They have all types, cycling, all types. But this to me was one of the best ones. Just seeing his story going from him as a kid going to college. I mean, high school. Talk about high school basketball. How he really got cut, and he came back.
Yeah.
And then also going in from there to North Carolina. And then going from North Carolina to the Bulls and his things. I mean, I think what it did show was Jordan was, to me, he's the greatest basketball player of all time. That's why a house stand. We as a house we stand together. We're not divided on that. But I would say that what it taught me was leadership style, and how do you, as a
Yeah.
leader, you have to learn stuff and learn how to relate to people. He was he.
Hmm.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, if it take me to bully you, and we're on top of the mountain, then that's what it was going to take. And I think at the same time, what we have to realize in being in leadership positions is you have to know how to lead certain people. Everybody's not going to respond to you. Now, they may respond to you because they just tired of you, and it's like, okay, when this is over, I don't want to deal with this dude no more. You know what I'm saying? But in the midst of my job, doing my job, I have to deal with this guy. You know what I mean? And it was some stuff. It was a lot of, I would say, going back and looking at it now, and being out of it versus just looking at it when I was in the moment. It was a lot of verbal abuse, physical abuse he was saying to people. But I think at the same time, I think to me, after a while, I would have stood up like, hey, you can't keep talking to me like that, bro. What's going on? Or hey, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, it's Michael Jordan. I mean, we're looking at this at like they're going back and back, right? So and they also talked about the dream team. They also talked about different things.
Yeah.
But you gotta think about it. At 98, Michael Jordan is like on icon level to a point where he's having celebrities come back and in the game, and he's like shaking hands with celebrities. He's talking to celebrities. People they're going every place in America and game is selling out. It's like a rock star is coming to your town, and people are lined up to see Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, and Dennis Rodman. You know what I mean? Like in their heyday would be like, I don't even think that can happen no more because of social media. But there's people coming to your town, this basketball team coming to your town because he's so good, he's so great, and people idolize him so much that they're like fanatics almost, like, oh my God, you know what I mean? Basketball Messiah and say, oh my God, we bow, you know what I'm saying? And this is 98. And this is not, like you said, only media we had at that time that people connect was personable or the news, you know what I mean? Or it was no TMZ, it wasn't no, I mean, you had the National Enquirer, you had all those other tabloid papers, but it wasn't what we seen today. You know what I mean? Where you could take a picture with somebody and like, hey, I'm with LeBron, or hey, I'm with Steph. You know what I mean? Like it was none of that. It was just old school picture camera where you had to go take a picture, develop. Yeah, okay, people out there listening, we're showing our age here. Take pictures in the cameras. You take that camera to the
Walgreens or Target or
something. Take it to a place where they discover film, and you had to wait for like a couple hours for them to get it, and then you get it, and then you show people like that. You know what I mean? Like, hey, I went to the basketball game. No, you didn't. Okay, well, I'll show you the photos tomorrow when I get them back. You know what I mean?
Or if you was big time, you have a Polaroid where it come out there.
You had to shake it. That's where, for people who remember, hey, y'all, by Outkast, when you shake it like
a Polaroid picture.
Yeah, that's where that come from. That's old school. So we had to do that as teenagers. Me and my wife, we had to do that as teenagers. So what I'm saying is, all I have to say is, it was a great documentary. It showed to me why he is the greatest basketball player of all time. But also, it did show me some stuff that, wow, as a leader, you take from and you take meat and you spit out the bones from. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, all right, let's talk about one of the biggest docuseries on Netflix last year was the Tiger King. The Tiger King was big last year, man. I mean, people were talking about it and everything.
Mess.
Yeah, it was like, man,
a mess.
Yeah, it was like, what's the version of ghetto for poor white people?
White trash.
I didn't want to say that.
Trailer park trash.
I don't want to say that. That's bad, babe. Don't say that.
I'm
but that's the version of ghetto.
I'm just saying. Okay.
But okay, so I'll start this one. I think that one was. It shows you, and it shows you why you can't take stuff extremely serious. And what I mean by that is, you can be in competition with somebody. And you got to know when to let stuff go, and you got to know when to fight your battles. I would say that showed me that, because this man is sitting in prison right now because he let his disdain for somebody go so far, that it just took him out, and he's now legendary because his docuseries, but he's not legendary because what he did, because he honestly, besides his lifestyle, he was just like running the Florida thing with the Tigers and stuff like that, and having him in his backyard. Was it backyard or his starting off in his back? I think starting off in his house, and then getting land, and then having something where celebrities were coming in and watching it and different things like that. It's almost remind me of, I don't know why this came out with Tiffany Haddish talking about the Swamp Tour, but I mean, like, I'm thinking like people were like, yo, reading like Groupons or like reading stuff in the paper, like, hey, there's a free tiger petting thing we can go to in Florida, and we go and watch this. And then people were coming to it, and probably still coming to it to this day. He's going to his competitor now, but
you know
what I mean? So Yeah. What do
But
you
you
think about
know
it?
who else is legendary now is, and more legendary than him, honestly, is the person he in jail for trying to kill, Miss
Yeah.
Carol Baskin.
Yeah.
I looked up, I said, this girl is on Dancing with the Stars.
Yeah.
She was on the Rockin' New Year's Eve celebration. I said, what? Like
Man, they
Carol is
can't
like,
contact him.
she doing the thing. She doing the thing. She like, oh, you gonna put me on blast? I'm about to maximize this opportunity and
Yeah.
soak up all the fame. Like she eating it up. I'm just like, I can't believe people like want her on their show. That just amazes me. That
That I
amazes
think,
me.
yeah, it's crazy. The number one question: you think she killed her husband?
I sure do, which is one more reason why I'm like, you really want her on your show? Like you really do? Like you really want this one? Oh, okay, but that's just me. I do believe she did it
Now,
though.
now here's a question: do you think he was manipulative to young boys to get them to be with him as a
Oh,
target?
absolutely. I mean, and honestly, this is one thing that, and I think we kind of find ourselves gravitating towards this because we've seen power be abused before, where, when people are influential, when people are in leadership, that is a natural temptation and tendency in some cases to try to control, to try to manipulate the
Mm-hmm.
people that, are under you or that follow you or that support your team or what have you. And so like really seeing that in
Yeah,
that environment, none of it surprised me. It made me sad,
yeah,
but none of it really surprised me, unfortunately, because I've just seen power be abused far too many times. And then honestly, I had to remind myself like nobody was made to be worshiped. And so
yeah,
nobody can handle that really honestly and truly outside of God. And so when you put that type of pressure on a person, of course they're going to crumble. Like they're not meant to carry that weight. And so they'll either crumble internally where they're breaking down mentally and emotionally and being depressed or what have you, or they'll break down externally where they abuse it and they take for granted the people that are around them. And
yeah.
so that whole thing, none of it surprised me, but it definitely made me sad. So I know I had to go to the deep end for a minute for y'all, but that's really how I view it. So
Yeah, yeah. It ended up sad. It made, I mean, it's like you said, Carol Baskin. She becomes famous.
she's a celebrity.
She's a celebrity now. She's on Dancing with the Stars, and
A
it is
mess.
what it is. He's in jail. His empire basically crumbles.
Yeah.
He gets taken down. The people now, I don't know if that place is still up or they started something else or
Mm,
whatever. And I think another thing too you can learn from his story is attention is a drug. Like
yeah.
when he started like documenting himself, he just started becoming like a lover of the camera, and it just got really weird and it got really crazy and it got really um not I can say crazy, but just got really like it started getting to him,
Hmm.
and his fame and his infamy just started eating at him. And that's something you can learn from too. Is like
Yeah.
not every attention is the greatest attention. All right, let's get to another big thing that happened this year while we was in quarantine. Club quarantine happened with DJ D Nice.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say this real quick. DJ D Nice. I'm old school a little bit. I try to squint into the new school. I try to be middle school. I think that's what they call it between the old school and new school for maybe our
Middle
generation.
school.
Middle school, right? I remember D Nice because my name is D Nice. I'm checking out the suckers, even don't know how I did it. He was with Boogie Down Productions with KRS-One and DJ Scott LaRock. I'm taking y'all back. Some of y'all are like, what's Boogie Down Productions? I can't. I gotta tell it. I gotta tell the truth. But I know D Nice from and what DJ D Nice did, and I think other DJs may have been doing this. I don't know if they were going live and playing. I know a lot of DJs that have been doing that prior to that. But in quarantine, DJ D Nice is a famous DJ that does a lot of corporate events. He does a lot of
Yeah.
parties. He was doing the Essence Festival. He's a great DJ. So I think one Saturday night, he decided to go live on IG and spin. And he had that place like thousands of
Killed
people
it.
up in it, and it was killing it. And he was on it. He did a set. A lot of DJs, I'll tell you this, just to be real. Some DJs, how DJs operate is from a club perspective. It's almost like comedy a little bit, where it's like an opener
Mm.
and then the main DJ comes, or they may have
Hmm.
two openers and the main DJ. So let's say the club using this as an example, a club may open up at what, 9, maybe 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, and then close at 4. So if so, now probably you may have just two DJs. One is the opening DJ, and then the main DJ. And then back in the day, you, like I said, some clubs would stay open kind of later to like in the morning, where you would have like three DJs.
Yeah.
You have two, and then the big dog will come in at the last person and shut it down. He stood up and DJ for at least, they said, 8 hours, 8 to like long hours, just playing music and spreading love and doing the music thing. And that started something that was amazing. I always like stuff organic before the mainstream get to it. So it was so organic that now you have president people coming in and they're like, hey, then all of a sudden he's DJing, and all of a sudden Kamala Harris come on the screen like, hey, don't forget to vote. Or Joe Biden in the comments like, this is dope, or Clinton in the comments, you know what I mean? But his first time he did it, and it was popping. He was trending. He was doing something. And I think that shows something, and this is something from us as creatives, that sometimes when you just do something organically, just show love to people and to have a good time, that may do something for you. That may help you out in the long run. You know what I mean? Like something like that can take you to another level, because it's not like, you know, I'm gonna try to do this and I'm gonna plot and do this. It's like, no, I'm just gonna do this. I have a set. He has followers already, but his followers is gained, and he just got more and more from it. So what's your thoughts about it?
I loved it. And I mean, you know, like you said, D Nice, it took me a minute to connect the dots, like who is D Nice, you know, but like he did his thing, and I'm just reminded, like, I know everybody is like, you know, forget 2020, leave it alone, it never happened. And while for some it was like the worst year ever and their most, you know, the worst year of their life or what have you, I firmly believe that we can and should learn from everything. And so as creatives, there were survival tactics that we had to put into play that we had never used before, you know. And I don't think people realize that art is a survival tool. You know, it's very cathartic, it's very therapeutic, it helps, you know, lift and elevate people's moods. And so I think in a lot of cases, that's what Versus did. That's what, you know, DJ D Nice did. That's what, you know, TikTok challenges and, you know, viral things did, because it elevated our perspectives and our moods and reminded us like, hey, like there is something greater out there, and it still gave us hope. And so I feel like just those types of reminders are things that we as creatives need to, you know, hold on to and remember and employ moving forward, you know, because people look to creatives to inspire, and we gotta hold on to that. And so he did just that. And like you said, when you do it from a genuine place and you are, you know, very authentic and you know, organic in what you're doing, that's when people take hold of it and it just grows and spreads like wildfire. So I thought it was dope.
Yeah, that was dope, man. And shout out to all the DJs that followed after him and started doing it and getting on IG and helping their numbers as well and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Had me thinking about coming out of retirement, getting on tables that's in my attic, not my attic, in my room. So many people wanted me to do it, and I was like, I don't want to follow that. It's just I'm lazy, y'all. I'm lazy. I'm repenting right now. I'm lazy.
Honest.
I'm lazy.
Honest. Lord help them.
If I could live on that couch and make money off that couch, I'll be popping. All right.
Carry on.
All right. So we got two more topics real quick, and we're gonna let you go. Thank you for watching this. If you're watching this, please subscribe, and then also tell people about it. It's Creativaire presents A&R. Remember that. All right, number 5. One thing that was really big in 2020 was TikTok.
Yeah.
For a lot of people, TikTok is an app that you know, kind of finesse the President Trump situation. They played President Trump, that he tried to ban TikTok. But one thing that we did learn about TikTok this year was that it's one of those things that can make you as an artist go viral immediately.
Absolutely.
From different challenges, from, you know, just helping out artists and I really, a lot of indie artists or some artists that they start challenges on there. So many challenges you've seen. It's so many challenges we can't really name them. Honestly, it's just a lot.
Yeah.
But now what we're starting to see is mainstream artists getting on there and using their music and starting to challenge. And TikTok is helping them grow, like just up their numbers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I would say this to any artist out there. Even I would say even deep artists, come up with something that you can create a challenge for TikTok, and it don't have to be always dancing. It could be something funny. I've seen stuff where maybe it's something where you make fun of your song and you make it a challenge, and that helps people laugh and they do it too. Because right now we're in a society where people want to do something just to do it. You know what I mean? Like if you're at home and your whole family could do it, that's a better one, a better challenge. Of course, you have different challenges out there where you have people twerking. Of course, unfortunately, you have people twerking. You have challenges with different dance routines with a group of people by yourself. So TikTok has been, I would say, been a new A&R
Yeah.
for artists. What you think, babe?
I do. I mean, I feel like I do agree. I feel like artists have maximized that. And I've even seen a resurgence of, very similar to Versus, a resurgence where older artists or older songs have made their way back to the charts because for whatever reason somebody chose to take this little run or this little vamp or this little part of this song and use it in their challenge. And so I would encourage even artists that are trying to get back in the game or that just kind of want a resurgence, to try to look at that, because you just never know. You never know how something like that can revive a career, if you haven't been on the scene in a while.
Yeah, it's almost like it's almost like a trailer. Like, excuse me, it's almost like a trailer. Like when you watch movies, they have music on the trailers, like especially for old school music.
Yeah,
and like it just that's been how old school music kind of be. Like you always see, for some strange reason, a lot of people who make trailers love Salt and Pepper Shoot. Like I heard that in so many trailers and movies in the past. I was like, dude, white folks love Shoot by Salt and
Why
Pepper.
is it just the white people?
Because that's majority of the time people who making trailers. Majority of the time. I ain't gonna say all the time, but some of the time. But it's like you hear it a lot. And I'm like, Shoot again? Or Power by Kanye? So, but what I'm saying about that is, like, using that old school example is the tricky challenge, right? Mm-hmm. So the tricky challenge is basically you have two columns up there above you and you walk towards it, right? But they're using Run DMC's It's Tricky to do it. And the last one I saw was actually Angela Simmons and Reverend Run doing it. And he rapping the lyrics to it as he walked into different places, which was funny. It was like I'm just basically rapping my song to y'all so y'all would see. But I don't know if that's helping Run DMC. You know what I mean? I can go on Spotify right now and see if Run DMC and if Tricky is the number one song for them.
It might be, or their catalog. You never know.
Let me go see real quick. But it may be something where you for old school artists I don't know, man. I think one of those things is some stuff like that is just a blessing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Where you can't it's number one. Tricky is number one on Spotify. 141 million people have listened to that song because of that challenge. You know what I'm saying? Man. You know what I mean? And then also it's some stuff where and I don't know why this popped in my mind. This is old. This is prior before TikTok. But like the Shirley Caesar thing. Yeah. Like we don't know what the name of that song is, but it's just something that old school artists, if you're not so uptight about people using your stuff, if you just okay with it, you can be a resurgence for your career. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, now people know Shirley Caesar as Miss Thanksgiving Lady, the Thanksgiving Lady, when she's like an icon of gospel music. But
that's all right.
But I think one of those things is it's just what TikTok is doing is it's just something that people have to realize and know who's the influencers are on that app as well. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But I think to me, I think that the best challenges are always organic challenges that catches on. And I think to me, that's the word. I think here, we got to do this. The word of the month for January is organic. Because when stuff is organic, it looks natural. Even if it's not organic, even if you're getting paid by somebody, but y'all make it look organic, it still looks organic enough that people want to get a part of it. When it looks fake or together, like people put it together, it just doesn't look like, man, I want to be a part of it. It looks like somebody doing this. But when you look like it's organic, people love it. So the
And
daily word is organic.
you help make things look organic by being yourself. I think oftentimes when you're in front of a camera or when you're recording something, you always almost want to kind of put forward your representative. And yeah, you want to have energy and you want to be engaging, but at the same time, you want to be authentic. You want to be genuine. That's how you become organic.
Yeah. All right. Last one, man. Coming in, I would say we binge watch. This is what we're talking about. It's Cobra Kai, for anybody who don't know. I would say one of the best shows on Netflix. I would say YouTube Red. Thank you for releasing this and giving it to Netflix because it changed everything. Because me and my wife binge watched it in 20. Did we binge watch it in 2020?
We binge watched seasons 1 and 2 in 2020, and then we binge watched season 3 on New Year's Day.
Yeah.
As soon as it dropped.
So with this recap, man, we're gonna kind of talk about season 3 a little bit more. Season 2 was so fire. The fight scene at the end was dope in high school. I love that. You know what I mean? It's like I always tell my wife, it's like 90210 meets Power Rangers. Like, you know what I mean? Without the morphin. Like when they used to, the old school Power Ranger heads, they used to watch it when they used to fight. When they used to fight without getting into their costumes and they would fight the putties and all the stuff. And they were just plain clothes. That's what it reminded me of. And it was good, man. I would say this about season 3. I kind of felt like season 1 and season 2 was more for the kids. Mm-hmm. But season 3 felt like it was more around the adults and the kids were the icing on the cake. You know what I mean?
Yeah. At least till near the end. Like the last 2 or 3 episodes were more focused. They brought it back to the kids.
Yeah. Like, so this one, spoiler alert. If you don't want to hear the spoiler, stop it right now. Thank you for watching A&R. But we're about to do some spoilers. So this one, Daniel goes back home. Not home, sorry. He goes back to Okinawa.
Yep.
And he learns more about his style of fighting, which is Miyagi-Do karate. So he learns more stuff about it, which helps him at the end. Mm-hmm. But he learns himself, and then of course he's losing a lot of customers in his business. That's originally why he went over there, because he's losing customers in his business because the fight that happened reflected his dojo, and people didn't want to have nothing to do with it. Yeah. You know what I mean? And then Johnny kind of went on a depressed run because one of his top students got paralyzed, and he blamed himself, and other people blamed him. So he's fighting through that.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think what else. Go ahead, babe.
Yeah. Well, go ahead and say what you're going to say. Well, Kreese, they did kind of the backstory on Kreese, which I thought was kind of dope too, because you kind of see what made him so ruthless, you know, where he got the whole name Cobra Kai from, no mercy, all that, where that came from. So I thought that was dope. And then also too, you start dealing with the ramifications as it relates to the children of everything that happened in season 1. Like you're dealing with PTSD, you're dealing with fear, you're dealing with doubt, you're dealing with depression, you're dealing with rejection, like all kinds of stuff. And I thought that was great that they really addressed that as it relates to the kids, because mental health is a real big issue these days, you know, not just for adults, but for children. I mean, especially in light of us being in a pandemic and quarantining and stuff. So I feel like they approached it definitely from a different perspective, but they approached it and they acknowledged that young people deal with stuff like that. So I thought that was real cool.
Yeah. And one thing I would say that made me think about stuff that that your past can help your future. It was the 2 things, honestly. His past with Kreese, his past of all that stuff, like kind of like got him to a place where, and I'm sorry, not help your future. Your past can hinder your future or bless your future. And what I mean by that is Kreese's past made him the way he was, but going into season 4 is going to help him because he's going to call one of his buddies who was in, if you know Karate Kid 3, who kind of like tried to make Daniel do crazy stuff and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
So he's going to bring him back to help him with Cobra Kai.
Yeah.
Going back with Daniel, though, which only made me tear up. Me and my wife was watching this. Oh, my God.
I looked over at, I said, is my husband about to cry?
I was like, our face was like this. And then all of a sudden I was like, man up. And I was like, oh. It was just hard. And when she was at the table, okay, backstory a little bit. He goes to Okinawa and he meets with Kimiko. Kimiko is the part two. If you watch Karate Kid Part Two, is the lady, the Asian lady he meets in Part Two, the young girl, and he falls in love with her. She doesn't come back with him to the States, but he falls in love with her. But there's a scene in that movie where he helps this little girl get off this pole because she wasn't dancing.
It's a storm.
She was a storm in their town, and he helped her get off the pole.
The power line
hit everything, and he saved this young girl's life. Fast forward, he gets to meet this woman as an adult, and because he saved her life as a kid, she helps him save his business.
Yes.
Somebody out there need that word. If you do something, and this is what I'm telling you, and maybe another word of the day is generosity, because you being generous in the time of when like somebody needs you the most can help you years later.
Absolutely.
That's a way of preaching.
Absolutely.
You don't understand how your generosity and then you just doing something out of the kindness of your heart can change somebody's life that end up helping you years later.
Yeah.
It was like, wow, that just blew me away. And that was very good writing on their behalf. Even bringing the same little girl back that was that little girl as a grown woman today. And then also just him fighting with Chosen and Chosen learning to forgive and then learning to like teach him more Miyagi-Do karate.
Yeah.
Help him like, wow, Miyagi-Do wasn't just about defense, it's also offense.
Absolutely.
And he was like, that's just some stuff Mr. Miyagi didn't show me. He's like, well, because there's levels to this. That's another word. It's preaching. Preach to yourself.
Oh my God.
All right, and then it was just that good, man. I would say it was very good. It was kind of a little. I'll say season 1 and season 2 were very good, and season 3 was good. And it was a little slow, but it got better going towards the end.
Yeah. I would say the other thing that it taught me too is that we're better together. I mean, I think, season 1 and season 2, of course, you have Daniel and Johnny going head to head, always going against each other. And basically, it took their past love. They had to bring my girl Allie back.
Yeah, Allie came back too. Yeah.
I wasn't sure she was coming. I wasn't sure because I got some bad intel that she wasn't going to be in season 3. But I got put to shame because she did pop up, near the end of the season. But anyway, it took her coming back to basically show Johnny and Daniel that they're basically two sides of the same coin. Yeah. And when they come together, it's like they complement one another. And so hopefully we'll see more of that in the next season, when they really do team up in order to take down Kreese. But
we don't know, man. Season 3 ended very well. Like I said earlier, I very enjoyed the end. The fight scene, like I love the group fight scene at the end in that house. It was dope. And then him going to the Cobra Kai and fight, and then Daniel using those points, which is real. Anybody out there that does karate, they probably know. But I've seen that on online where people were talking about the points in your body. There's certain points in your body. If somebody hits them the right way, can go make your arm go limp, make your legs go limp, or just different things like that, and shut your body down, and you just a dummy right then, like you're done. So it was really good, man. I like it. I think season 4 may be the last season because
that's what you think, but
because it doesn't make sense after season 4. What will be the next thing for season 4?
You never know. It depends on what happens in season 4. You never know.
Okay, so if they lose, I'm just saying. Okay, most likely they're gonna win. Most likely.
But what if they don't?
A lot of people don't write like Thanos winning, babe. That's just not how it goes. A lot of people don't write like that. But it
did happen. Thanos did win.
He did win, but people don't write like that.
I'm just saying, you don't know.
You don't. But I'm just saying, after season 4, if Kreese loses, it's over. Like, who else they're gonna bring back the other cat? Because they ran out of people to bring back now, honestly, because
is there anybody that you want to see that you didn't see?
Unless they go to like the next Karate Kid with Hillary Swank and she comes back.
Somebody said they might pull out some people from Karate Kid, the next Karate Kid. Honestly, I didn't see the next Karate Kid.
Me either. I didn't never seen that one either.
Or
they may go the route where they bring in Jaden Smith.
Oh yeah, that'd be dope. honestly, that would kind of be like a Spider-Man universe where they pull in
Yeah.
all the different Karate Kids. I'm trying to think if there's anybody else that, I mean, his girlfriend from the third one, they
She
never,
really wasn't like, she didn't have no like it wasn't
yeah.
like he
I'm
just
trying to
met her
think
and it didn't go well. It's,
if there's anybody else that I would want to see. I
now
don't
he bring
know.
back Mike Barnes. Mike Barnes was the dude in part 3 that he was like terrified of in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Yeah,
don't know if they would use something where Mike Barnes has his own karate dojo in like the next
maybe.
season 5. But then after that, I'm like, what else is new? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but Cobra Kai is on Netflix now. If you want to go binge watch it, if you didn't watch none of it, I would recommend it. It was very good. If you're a fan of the Karate Kid, it will bring back memories.
And
So
if you like
you go.
action, I mean, I know, we're
Drama action, babe. Drama action.
well, drama action, but sometimes it felt like soap opera action. But
Yeah.
I like actions. I like good, fight sequences and all that kind of stuff. Although I was cringing during season 3 after what happened to Miguel. I kept going every time he would be fighting in season 3. I'm like, oh Miguel, oh, like because I don't want to get hurt again. Like, but all that to say,
Yeah.
if you like action, definitely check it out.
All right, man. That's it for Creativaire presents A&R, man.
Episode
Um,
1.
episode 1. We're trying to. This is just an insider looking at. We're trying to figure out if we're going to do this once a month or once a week. We're probably
Or somewhere in between.
Or somewhere in between. Maybe bi-monthly. But in my mind right now, I'm thinking once a month because we get enough information and we can hit each month based off that last month. And so maybe that's something we could think about. We don't know yet. We'll let y'all know. If you enjoyed this, like I said, please share it with people. We love to help artists out there and businesses. Honestly, we've been helping businesses as well, coming up with plans to help them market and promote. And we also love the arts and entertainment, and that's one of the things that we've talked about with each other is arts and entertainment and doing that. So that's why we're kind of doing a recap of last year and with the Cobra Kai thing. So please follow us on all social media. Creativaire, spell it, babe. Spell how we got it on.
Creativaire is spelled like Creativaire. Creative air, like the air you breathe, the atmosphere, air, the creative one. What'd you say?
Millionaire, like we
millionaire, yeah, millionaire.
Like we're millionaires, so creatively we're millionaires. So we make it.
There you go.
We make it rain creatively.
We have a wealth of creativity. There you go.
So follow us. Yeah, follow us on all the social platforms: Twitter, Instagram. We're on Facebook as well, right, babe? Like,
yep. So we're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We're on Twitter. We're on YouTube. Follow us.
So we probably will chop this up too. So you're going to get to see different things and us talking about different things as well. So, yeah, man. Thank you for watching. And make comments below, subscribe, and thank you. Have a good day.
See you next time.
Be a blessing to others.
Holla.